Hey guys, this is Ty with Black Scout Survival. Today I want to talk about the post-shooting and what's going to happen if you ever have to deploy and use your firearm in a self-defense situation. I'm not going to talk specifically about when to and how to deploy your firearm and give legal advice like that. That's a separate issue, and we'll address that later. This is strictly going to cover what to expect, especially from responding law enforcement, if you have to deploy your firearm and shoot someone. So the first thing you would want to do is make sure that the threat is neutralized. Once you've determined that, some guys say to put your gun on the ground, some say put it in the car. I'm going to tell you what I would do. I've always got a holster on me, so I'm going to put my firearm inside my holster. I'm going to put my shirt over it for two reasons. One is because I'm going to retain my weapon and make sure that nobody else can get it. Two is if it's out of my hands and under my t-shirt, then I can put my hands straight up and let law enforcement know that my hands are empty, I am not a threat to them, and I'm going to cooperate and do whatever they tell me to do, however they tell me to do it. The next thing that I would want to do is, if I can't or it's inconceivable to render aid, I'm going to go ahead and take my cell phone out and immediately call 911. If someone else is around, they're probably going to call 911 too, but I want my voice going to dispatch to be able to start the narrative of exactly what happened, because later on down the road, this may end up in court, and that is going to be a great part of your defense if it gets that far. So I'm going to call 911. I'm going to get on the phone. Dispatch is going to say, 911, what's your emergency? I'm going to say, my name is Ty. I was just involved in a shooting. I'm at 123 Main Street. I'm wearing a black t-shirt, blue jeans, and gray shoes. My firearm is in a holster, and I need police response immediately. So what I did is I told them who I was, where I was, and what I was wearing, so I can be easily and readily identified for the responding officers on the scene. The next thing I want to do is tell them I have a firearm. It is in the holster in front of my body under my shirt. I'm going to keep my hands raised, and then make sure they know that if you have a cell phone, obviously that's not on speaker and you're talking like this and you're up like this, tell them I have a black iPhone in my right hand, and when I hear sirens, I'm going to put my phone down, get on my knees, and put my hand straight above my head. The reason I tell people, or the reason I would do that, is because whenever I hear the sirens, I know that the police are coming, and from my experience, I know what those guys are thinking as well as what I'm thinking here in this situation. They're thinking somebody's shot, there's at least one gun involved, and that may be the only information that dispatch gets to them. If they're close enough, they're just getting to the scene as fast as they can. So if I'm able to relay all that information to dispatch and they can get just a part of it, that's going to help that responding officer know that I'm not the bad guy, he's the bad guy, and I'm going to cooperate, and I'm not any threat at all to him whatsoever. So when I hear the sirens and they're starting to get close, I'm going to go down to my knees. I'm going to put my phone down in front of me. If you want to put it on speaker so you can talk to the dispatcher, that's fine. Put your hand straight up in the air and remain like this until the officer tells you what to do next. Now, what is going to happen next is you're going to get put in handcuffs. It's going to happen. Just allow it to happen. They're not going to do that because they're going to arrest you or for any reason. All they have to do is secure the scene immediately whenever they get there, so that they can make sure that my gun is out of play and not a threat to law enforcement, and they can start working on this guy if he's still alive, and get medical and fire and all that kind of apparatus in there so they can start, trying to save this guy's life. After that, you're going to get put in the back of a police car. That's going to happen. Just expect it to happen, and just let it happen. It's going to be okay. After that, if they start asking you questions and you're not comfortable, you have, under the Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent. I would strongly encourage you to invoke that and say, I would like to speak to my attorney before I answer any questions. At some point, once you say that, they're going to allow you to call an attorney. It may be back at the police station or down at the jail or in an interview office somewhere, but eventually they're going to have to let you call your attorney, and do that. Be cordial and nice with the officers. If you want to small talk with them, that's perfectly fine, because it's going to put them at ease and it's going to put you at ease. The next thing would be court proceedings, and obviously I'm not an attorney. I don't want to be an attorney, and you should hire a competent lawyer that can help guide you through that process when you're involved in a shooting. In 2015, when I was on duty, I was involved in an officer-involved shooting. I'm not going to go into any detail at all really about it, out of respect for the decedent's family, but the gist of the story was there was a car chase and there was a shooting where an individual pointed a Colt Python revolver at me, and I had to neutralize the target, so I went home that night. But I want to talk kind of how you're going to feel and some of the emotions that you may feel if you ever have to deploy your firearm. Now, from the time I was 17, I was in the Marines. I went straight into law enforcement. I feel like I've been well conditioned mentally and physically to be a gunfighter, and I pride myself on that. But I was not an exception to any of the rules of nature, and all the things that you may hear from guys that have been in shootings. Like, I had auditory exclusion. I didn't hear any of the gunshots that came out of my gun or any of the other officers' guns. Time slowed way down. I remember when I punched out, I saw this individual's elbow come up, and I knew that he was going to come point that revolver at me. I remember that first trigger squeeze was nice and slow, and I remember watching my slide rock back, and then it kept rocking back and kept rocking back. I fired 9 rounds, and I can remember watching that slide rock back every single time as I was looking down my front sight into his chest. After everything was done, he passed away on the scene due to the gunfire. I remember thinking, okay, I've just shot somebody in the line of duty. What do I do now? So training kicked in. I put my gun in my holster, and I immediately took out my cell phone after I made sure all of my guys were okay and the scene was secure, and I called my union lawyer and told him I had just been in a critical incident. I need somebody to come represent me right now. And that was it. While I was kind of standing around on scene, of course everybody was coming to check to make sure everybody was okay. Hey, how you doing? I remember I was really mad. All of a sudden, just out of nowhere, like, I put my gun in the holster, and I just got so angry because this guy just tried to kill me. I had a newborn baby at the time. My family, I was just mad that this guy was going to try to do this to me. I didn't do anything to him. So I put my gun in my holster, and I walked over to a little grassy area. It was kind of on a slope. And I just remember punching the ground 3 or 4 times just to vent that out. And of course, everybody on scene was kind of wondering what was going on with me, but the guys that had been in shootings prior knew that I just needed to vent some of that stuff out to get it out of my body because it was just pent up, and I just had to get rid of it that second. After that, it took about an hour for the adrenaline to wear off, and I got really tired, really sleepy. So they gave us like Cokes, gum, snacks, like that kind of thing, just kind of get your blood sugar up, give you a little bit of energy. Then I waited for my attorney, and then an outside agency did the investigation. We went and did interviews. My attorney was there the entire time. I had time to receive counsel for them, and then everything proceeded on from there. So I just wanted to let everybody know, not that I've been in a shooting, but that these are some things that I experienced and things to look out for. If you choose to carry a gun, you're choosing to potentially take somebody's life, because that's what a firearm is for. So I think you need to know the process from beginning all the way to the end, and I hope that helps.